Yamas Gano Swaguego, Doris Waterman, Neat Yaso. So a few weeks back, some of you may have seen this flyer posted for a tobacco planning community language class. I know there was a lot of interest, but not everyone could make it. Therefore, I wanted to make a video going through the slides so everyone could still see and hear the words that we gone over. So other than a few side notes that I'm going to add in, for the most part, I'm just going to stick to reading the Seneca. I'm not going to directly translate within this video, but in the caption, there is a Google Docs link that will take you to the translations for each slide, and as well as provide a list of other additional planting terms. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oyet gwa onwe. Oyet gwa onwe. Oyet gwa onwe and doyanto. Oyet gwa onwe and doyanto. So before we move forward, I want to share some things that were shared with me by some of our elders to keep in mind when planting and tending to tobacco, our traditional tobacco. So with Oyet gwa onwe being one of our sacred medicines used throughout the year during our longhouse ceremonies, a few important things to note when planting our traditional tobacco is, so first and foremost, Jotgon gatni goyo and sajatag nona Oyet gwa onwe and shanto the says nye the shaonyo ko ne onohquas hat. So this can basically be translated to always use a good mind when planting, tending to, and touching tobacco, as it is medicine. So to the next bullet point, children should not handle tobacco, do not use metal with tobacco. So once the leaves are ready to be harvested, you don't want to use scissors to cut them off at the stems. You're going to want to just use your hands and just snap them. But I was also always shown to use gloves when handling tobacco because the crystals that form on the leaves is also medicine, and you don't want that to get into your bloodstream or into your skin, as it can make you dizzy. So another thing I was told by some elders is that one should not plant or tend to tobacco when they themselves or even their partners on their menstrual cycle. So with these things that are often shared, I know sometimes there's some differences in things that some of us were told or have never heard before, but I always just encourage everyone to keep an open mind and just be respectful of the things that other people were taught, even if they weren't taught specifically that way. And I just want to encourage everyone also to continue sharing what and how they were taught so it can also be carried on. Help. They said Danzoni. They said Danzoni. They said Danzoni. Oyet gwa onwe otquent. Oihta. O neganos. Ganotza. Gatni goyo. They said Danzoni. Oyet gwa onwe otquent. Oihta. O neganos. Ganotza. Gatni goyo. Oihta and soden. Oihta and soden. Ashadoni. Ashadoni. Otquent and shanto oihtagon. Otquent and shanto oihtagon. So side note, these obviously aren't tobacco seeds. These are just to provide a visual, but typically you are going to want to plant like 3 to 5 tobacco seeds together. Asawitsa. Asawitsa. Dasongod hiwega nona as negosa. Dasongod hewege nona esnegose. So the method I showed you guys was how to start the tobacco seeds within a seedling pot first, and then they are to be transplanted into the ground once they're ready. However, this was only for the sake of the class. You could also just start growing the seeds right in the ground from the beginning. Oatwawound. So once it reaches the end of the growing season and your tobacco plants have these blossoms on them, you can remove the blossoms and store them away to dry. Then this way you'll have tobacco seeds stored and ready to plant in the future. So this picture on the left side is showing some stored blossoms or pods, and then the picture on the right is one of those open, so you can see the tobacco seeds inside. Clearly the pods aren't perfectly sealed, so they may, if you don't pull them before they dry up and fall off on their own, they may fall into the soil and replant themselves that next year. One of the things that you have to watch out for with this is if you get too many seeds planted together or too closely together, they'll start to grow in clusters and sort of drown each other out with their roots. So here's an example of that case scenario happening. Clearly there was too many plants to try and sit there and pull them apart and replant them separately. But just to avoid that, I was always shown to just pull the blossoms before they sort of just fall off on their own. Lastly, I just wanted to show you guys some pictures of some pretty good sized tobacco leaves. These were grown at the Faith Keeper School. So once you're ready to remove your leaves and get them drying, you can either lay them flat somewheres and let them dry, or you can hang them up by a string. Just loosely tie the string around the stem and hang them that way. And then once they are dry, then you can break them down and store them in maybe like a bag or whatever you use. And then bring them to Longhouse when it's time. Ta neho so ne wa.